Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation, what is sensorality? So, we're all people, we're born into environments, or born into a environment, we'll just make it singular, but a culture with words. Those words are associated to physical processes, experiences, things, and how they relate to one another is logic. So the overall scientific progress throughout history is this refinement of how do we discuss physical systems. And so our biggest conceptualization, as proven by history, Albert Einstein, E equals mc squared is a statement of momentum, mass times velocity is momentum, c is a velocity, so E equals mc squared is directly a conceptualization of momentum in an overall scientific environment in which energy, what is energy, was not understood. What is energy, movement, potential? And so, right, I was born into this world. This would be good enough to call a notebook, most generally a thing. But is that thing moving? It's kind of like the most fundamental question you get of physics. And again, the internal constituents, we don't even have to think logically. Again, all logic, all language is renormalized by physical things. So you can go look under a microscope or go look into a telescope, and the filaments of your brain look the exact same structure as the galaxy formations. It's just physical properties scaling with size, which is absolute. But what Albert Einstein again articulated is we have this logical model. We did not understand what energy was, and he tries to refine it. We come up to this equation, but is this thing moving? We have discrete independent things with gaps between them that are bounded, which are bonds. But yes, this thing is moving, and all of that mass times velocity, that is what Albert Einstein has called rest energy. But overall, again, this entire progress of potential energy to E equals mc squared to dark energy, when in reality, the entire anything past Einstein is not a genuine conceptual progress. It's just, again, what is energy? Energy is movement potential. And so we've covered that. That is explicitly immediately true. Again, if you just sit there and stare at your carpet, like we said, you can see that distortion, or again, the thing, you can literally see things moving. And so it's just really that simple, right? We have a thing, that thing is made of independent discrete particles. That overall, what Albert Einstein called energy content is just momentum. And that should be very empirically true to you immediately. The things around you, when they're at rest, they still have internal momentum. So now this internal to external, that is where pretty much precisely we're at logically, what defines a system. But again, nothing is touching, but everything is connected. And so we don't really have true separation. We don't really have true independence in the sense of unbounded physical systems. This system's momentum not influenced by another system's momentum. And so, again, to keep in mind, another big conceptualization to keep at the forefront, again, force per unit area is pressure. So anytime we say the word pressure, we're already containing the entire physical implication of force, which was kind of like the biggest thing conceptually from Newton's time. But again, the chronology of science that you know is correct. And so what is energy is the all-encompassing physical terminology that wasn't known. Just pointing out, again, the nuances of things that are relevant. But then, right, we go from special relativity, which is really E equals mc squared with our Lorentz factor, to the general theory of relativity. The biggest conceptual question is, what is gravity? So we directly get to that linguistically today, again, because then we've already hit all of these pieces. We are on doggy duty. Gussie, come on. Hey, we're solving Albert Einstein science. But hopefully we don't have to cut this, we'll see. But what is gravity? Come on, Gussie. Hey, come in here. Let's solve Albert Einstein. Albert failed. We're not going to fail. But linguistically, again, we have this dichotomy now. Is 7 even? What's really going on? What is being preserved logically to linguistically? And so gravity to viscosity, conceptually, viscosity, the development of the fundamental definition, the resistance to flow. Flow in its entirety is rhythmic motion. This minimization of steps, this optimization of efficiency. Come on, Gussie, get in here. Come on. And so we have viscosity, the resistance to flow, just emphasizing flow is a word to rhythmic motion. Again, to the world. Again, I don't have a place to work. Come on, Gussie. Buddy, come in here. Hey, come on. Come on. And so, viscosity and gravity conceptually is resistance to movement. But if you said, what is the operative word to gravity? And why does this word exist? And that is really the conceptualization of general relativity. Is matter displacement? In this series we've discussed, or we've said, the logical statement, energy stabilized into mass, movement potential stabilized into movement, doesn't really make sense, but again, it was consistent to the historical progression of how people talked about science. The reality is you've all measurement, all logical structure, all language, all deduction, all experimentation, all life, all awareness, all knowledge has only existed in one environment. So you have to show that consistency to the language structure that exists. So energy doesn't really stabilize into mass. Energy is movement potential inferred because matter exists. And so that is the relationship matter then energy, right? E equals mc squared. It's like, again, it's just this wrong chronology, this wrong direction. But we get this overall historical question of what is gravity really? Again, we go from it's a force in Newton's time to it's a shape from Albert Einstein. And really the conceptualization there is matter displacement, right? Have you, by stabilizing mass, you look at a TV screen, you see all of the static, it stabilizes into a signal. That kind of is space. That is where that absence comes from. That is a good intuitive picture. But the overall logical progression is matter existed, right? Everybody's made of matter. And then we inferred, we deduced, we created this understanding of movement potential energy. And so viscosity and gravity linguistically are direct iterations of the linguistic structure of what that viscosity and gravity directly, that V. And then vibration overall, again, this limit of rhythm, this inverse of rhythm is really kind of like the stabilizing concept of everything, right? Good vibes only. What is vibration to energy? Again, that's that relationship of movement potential in relation to what, right? Is vibration energetic? But by our definition, vibration is not a cycle that does work, right? The cycling part, again, comes from geometry, but it is not a process. It is not a series of steps that produces work. And so energy or movement requires work. Trying to put all of our definitions in, but the real focus I want to get to is viscosity and gravity. What is this? Because viscosity, resistance to flow, overall resistance is the operative logical word. Gravity, resistance to movement. And at this point, flow and movement, effectively the same, rhythmic movement, which again is just optimum movement. But the gravity is attractive, right? And so we have this dichotomy of both our resistance to movement, viscosity and gravity, that's that clear conceptualization that we've already mapped, and then gravity is attractive. So where does that play out with our development of energy in relation to momentum, power, where we're at with our derivation? And so that is where we're picking up, and we can just continue through our steps. There's a lot of logical renormalization. So anytime, again, I say sensorality that is a natural definition, direct iteration, and is conceptually, again, where our conceptualization is at paired to our complete linguistics. And so, where's the dog? All right, we're doing good. He's calmed down a little bit. And so, just moving through our derivation, I won't say the natural definition. They'll be on your screen. I won't say them every single time, but just keeping a natural pace to the theorems. What is existence to exercise? Sensorality is the existence of exercise. Sensorality exercises existence. Is existence extreme? Is exercise extreme? Sensorality is respectability. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is repeatability. Is falsifiability repeatable? Rhythm repeats. What is consequentiality to essentiality? What is odor to temperature? What is odor to humidity? Sensorality is hot and humid. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is the form of a sensor. What is forming to sensing? Formation, sensation. What is sensationality to conditionality? Is sensation conditional? Sensors stabilize sensation. Direct iteration. Is detergent a deterrent? Emphasizing again the direct iteration with the double R emphasis. What is perspective to perception? And again, perspective is a reference frame. Historically, that development of Einstein talking about reference frames, or people saying reference frames, is a personification. Right? Perspective is a reference frame. What is perception to sensation? What is laminating to animating? All right, direct iterations. Sensorality is animated. Sensorality is laminated. Natural definition, direct iteration, emphasizing that containment. In the same way, again, do we have a complete form of this iteration yet? Energy to generosity. Animated to laminated. Right, what elements are switching where when we iterate this? Again, the universe is simple. We just created words to describe it. We're figuring out the right words and the most efficient, clean-cut way possible, which we've already done. Sensorality is complacent placement. Natural definition, direct iteration. Detestable is stable. Natural definition, direct iteration. Again, emphasizing as we get to this redundancy, as we tighten up our definitions, right? Detestable, clear conceptualization, linguistically limited. It's literally prefix, some amount of consonants or other chunk of word. Stable, right? Detestable is stable. Detestability is stability. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality detests tests. Sensorality detests resent. Sensorality destabilizes odor. Mr. Gussman has joined us in here now. Sensorality enables instability. What is a finale to morale? Emphasizing the word forms, again, that E, that open E at the end. Is moral final? Is psychology pathological? Sensorality is pathologicality, right? A pathological liar. Sensorality is pathological liability. Is a path a round, right? A path integral. Path is ordinal. Path, math. Sensorality goes down the math path. And then we're right back to the liar, right? Should I go to the left or should I go to the right? One guy tells the truth and one tells a lie. What do I ask the other one? That's that fundamental awareness of this inversion of logic. And we're pairing it directly to linguistic representation. Right? Because again, just refreshing that, and again, it's a well-known logical thing. But it doesn't matter which person you ask, right? That's not indeterminate, or it doesn't matter, inconsequential. And then you get to the consistent result. Just ask what the other one would do and then do the opposite. So you get that word opposition, right? Which path should I go down? Do the opposite of what that guy will do. Again, just emphasizing the words to that analogy. We've already gone through the logic. Are steps steep? Is physics psychic? Direct iteration. Sensorality is psychicality. Natural definition. Right? Emphasizing the historical progress of a psychic, right? A muse, an advisor, a soothsayer, and then now we can go what people have called psionic, which I don't even like that word, but just shared presence is 100% scientifically real. It's like historically that's what people are for being advisors, or the Oracle of Delphi, that type of thing. You have a real presence, and then historically, sticking with the Delphi example, it effectively gets to like, pay to play to get, your oracle or your astrology reading that you want, or even historically this is big in the Catholic Church's development of the pay to get your sins to go away. It's that type of thing. You have a real instance and then people just like make it a shitty little business. But a psychic, again, historically development, that's just this shared awareness type of thing. And that's why we have physics, psychic, kind of, is a mathematician a magician? Is a psychic a magician? Is a psychic a mathematician? What is the theme of psychic? Physic. Sensorality is psychicality. Sensorality is psychiatrality. psychiatry. Rhythmic is psychic. Natural definition, direct iteration, emphasizing the why. Sensorality, or does odor disintegrate? Sensorality integrates odor. Redundancy is repetitive. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is reachability. What is each? Too easy. Direct iteration. Reachability is attainability. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is attainable. Sensorality is maintainable. And again, like teinar, maintainer, in Espanol, it's the same type of building around words, explicitly to maintain, maintenance, maintenant en français, specifically to this syllability structure. Sensorality is manageability. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is availability. What is availability? The ability to avail. We've hit that one before, again emphasizing the linguistic structure associated to the conceptualization. What is availability to liability? Direct iteration. Availability is free. Natural definition, direct iteration. Nothing in life is free. Well, I'm available. Are you an available electron? Are you a free radical? I'm super edgy. Again, like I said, bro, I'm the lost electron. I can't decide if I'm a particle or a wave. Huh. Remembering is recalling. Natural definition, direct iteration. Specifically, I've articulated several times memorality, that M-E, right? We have morality, we have memory, well defined. You've never heard the term memorality, but we use the word forms memorable. And so it's just like, that's always worth pointing out. And then we have this, remembering always feels like physically geometrically cumbersome to me when I'm demonstrating logic. And then remembering to recalling feels better geometrically, but it still has that re prefix in there. Again, highlighting this elementality, irreducibility of elementality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is a recall. Memorality recalls what is right. So now it's a direct extension of a fundamental definition. Natural definition, direct iteration. Emphasizing we went from remembering to recalling. What is calling to recalling? This is where we hit gravity versus viscosity. Again, we've already hit the linguistic iteration because it's linguistically a direct iteration. The gravity and viscosity. Conceptually, gravity resists motion, viscosity resists flow. Flow is rhythmic motion, rhythmic movement. What is movement to motion? I don't think it's just pointing anything out. But conceptually, gravity is attractive. Is an operative word that's not completely consistent to viscosity. Is viscosity attractive? Is resistance attractive? Sensorality is attractive resistance. Natural definition, direct iteration. Gravity attracts. What is the opposite of attraction? Repulsion. Natural and dating conversation. That person repulses me. Ask any 14-year-old, oh, I don't like that person, they're repulsive. I know we've hit that for sure explicitly, but sensorality, repulses, attraction, repulsion, is viscosity repulsive. Sensorality is attraction, resistance. Natural definition, direct iteration. Again, we just said sensorality is attractive resistance, feels poignant enough to relabel a step and expand the word form. Is music thermodynamic? Is music dynamic? Is music rhythmic? Right, I made a little short video. Does vibration have momentum? Again, we're working through our big logical structure, energy, movement, potential, but we live in a world where everything is moving. So energy is an ideal. You have no physical systems that is not in motion. It's not possible. That is our Harry Ball theorem. There's wind where there's a zero vector and then a maximum vector. That's idealized. Everything, we live in 3 dimensions and it's just like everything's bumping into each other all the time. There are no closed systems. So E equals mc squared is again the momentum content of a system of all of those little discrete things. Here's a thing, we have a bunch of words. Albert Einstein didn't know how to conceptualize or what he was conceptualizing. He says, this is an equation, And it's reflecting, again, discrete things moving, mass times velocity, momentum. But does vibration have momentum? Now we're again at this logical relationship of inside, outside of a system, what is historically developed as a reference frame. But again, just emphasizing these steps, we've already resolved the complete conceptualization. We should be, again, imminently there again, but just emphasizing each little step along the way. So I don't know if anyone else is going to come along and be able to do this. But sensorality is conceptual progress. Sensorality is conceptuality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is a quality concept. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is a quality sensation. I would know Jen has given me many of them. Is logic conceptual? Fundamental theorem of sensation. Sensorality is the concept of logic. How do you feel about logic? Can you feel logic? That doesn't make sense. That feels wrong. You've associated some words, you've said something, but it's a feeling. Right? Sensorality is the concept of logic, the feeling of consistency, the feeling of sensation. That's why I labeled it the fundamental theorem of sensation. We got back to tautology there at the end. But the labeling of this, or you've never had a fundamental theorem of sensation before, but again, we have to pair this linguistic structure directly to a physical process that's undeniable, and it'll be reflected already, again, in the ontology that is present. And so, fundamental theorem of logic, sensorality is reasonability. Just what your conceptualization of reasonable, that is what sensorality is completely. Natural definition, direct iteration, giving us our complete definition for now. Again, this is the final result will be undeniable. It will be effectively speciality special with an ITY for sensorality. Sensorality is the ability to reason. Sensorality is reasonality. Natural definition, direct iteration, emphasizing again the sorality from sensorality to reasonality. Again, the N completes the R. As we've pointed out with change contains charge. Just emphasizing that, we've seen it a bunch now. But is reason easy? Again, emphasizing that EAS is a direct iteration of easy, one of this fundamental identity. Disease. Reasoning is easing. Natural definition, direct iteration. We're literally just adding the O, N, and R, the RON. But again, emphasizing the direct iteration. Sensorality eases reason, direct iteration. Fundamental theorem of linguistics, sensorality is the product of analysis. Again, language is literal. We're literally solving, again, our cycle. We're doing this analysis process, and the work we're doing, the novelty, the unique movement, logically, is producing a definition. What is a sensor? But again, it's already naturally defined. We're just reducing all of this collateral, Compton scattering, word here, logic here, physical process articulated in this language, here, and then all of human beings running around interacting with each other consolidates that information. Physical systems tend to optimum efficiency. The fundamental theorem of linguistics is sensorality. That chunk of syllability is the product of analysis of all of this reasoning. Hey, come on, we're almost done, Gus Mode. We've almost beat Albert Einstein. We're solving Albert Einstein right now. Oh no, Gus is excited, reacting to the tone of my voice. Uh-oh. What is product to prognosis? Sensorality is the prognosis of analysis. Sensorality is nocisality. Again, gnosis, natural definition, direct iteration. Our syllability, our letters, has to be unique. Gus Mode's in here now too. And it has to be minimum, like the minimum thing to completely describe sensation, sensorality. Again, we're just getting to this definite chunk of syllability. But nocisality, right? Gnosis, agnostic. Sensorality is progressive prognosis, natural definition, direct iteration. And we have this natural negation with this A. Agnosticality is ignorality. Right? If you're ignorant to something, you don't know something, it's a direct conceptual consistent statement. Agnosticality is ignorality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is ignorality. All right? And now, natural definition, direct iteration, we have the complete word orality in our fundamental syllable ing iterated completely. So that's a big emphasized step. Again, our conceptualization is not completely resolved, but we're getting there. We're almost done solving all of Albert Einstein, Gus, and everybody else's collective knowledge. But emphasizing sensorality is ignorality. That is our complete word. Orality is orality and a fundamental syllable ing. And then we just have this SENS thing. Sensorality is ignoring. Emphasizing ignoring is this iteration because we have this irreducibility preserved linguistically. The letter I, GNO from gnosis, agnostic, and then the complete word ring, RING. Fundamental theorem of logic, knowledge and ignorance are inverse. Just no plural, and that's complete. Conceptually, logically, anything. Right? If you know something or if you don't know something, regardless of what that thing is, that's inverse. Completely logically. Sensorality is inversatility. Natural definition, direct iteration. A direct conceptual and linguistic amalgamation of inverse and versatility. Sensorality is inversatility. Had stumbled on the pronunciation because it's one of those sensodorality. It's not like a natural progression. But conceptually, it's like before and after on Jeopardy or on Wheel of Fortune. But it's a novel conceptualization, inversatility. Inverse, versatile, speaks for itself. Sensorality is inversibility. Sensorality is the ability to inverse. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is the inverse of orality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is inverse convertible? Is inversion convertible? Sensorality converts inversion. Natural definition, direct iteration. So I know explicitly we've asked, what is inversion to conversion? We're kind of getting explicitly exhausting that now. We gotta be freaking close. But I keep saying that, so I'm done saying that. But again, overall, equals MC squared. A guy named Albert tried to describe something at rest, but it's not at rest. It has momentum. And then the real thing you're saying is, what is the inside and outside of a system? That is where you get reference frame, the verbiage, historical progression, special relativity, to general relativity. What is gravity? Gravity is a force. Force is encapsulated per unit area or volume, pressure, and then the gravity is a shape. Gravity is not a shape. It's just an iteration of viscosity, which is resistance to movement. Gravity is attractive. Viscosity is resistance. Y is gravity, resistance, and attractive. And then we're back to sensorality is attractive resistance. Just refining our definition, but that is where we're at conceptually. And again, this is already resolved. I can't emphasize that enough. This is a new derivation. Yeah. And so my rights continue to be violated. It is profoundly and extensively illegal. I continue to ask for a little bit of money to eat properly, to sleep properly, and to work. Again, you just look at something and it's just like, is this thing moving? Yep. So it has momentum. That is what Albert Einstein attempted to do with his entire life up until when he was writing down equations, because he wasn't a mathematician and his concepts weren't in the right order. But here on From Rhythm to Algorithm, a series of steps, a minimization of steps, an acknowledgement of linguistic similarity, rhythm, minimization of steps, algorithm, is the iteration of logarithm, exponentiation, minimization to exponentiation. We've created this logical structure. We just need the right concept, but there's a lot of concepts, and then we will reduce our linguistic structure. I'm not joking. I have been and continue to seek asylum outside of the United States. I am continuing to be T-word. I expect to be D-word. Now on the great 4th of July coming up here in a couple days, where no taxation without representation, where our great governors stand up for all Ohioans, and our great supreme leader Donald's allowed to make $1.5 billion on the shittiest crypto transactions known to man, but no one cares about anything. And so that is what I have for right now. Yeah, I'm out of stuff. So thank you for watching. See you on the next one.